Well, it appears I've missed quite a bit. Hello, everyone. Icy Hot Jacob Scott here to bring you what happened on last week's edition of WKW Network. I understand this is also right before I gotta talk about this week, considering WDW is tomorrow. So, I'm really going to make sure I nail it right this time. So, where did WKW start off last week? Well, it started off with Triple H pretty much saying, Mr. Davis, I am tired of your shit. I am fucked over. And I think the way you run WKW is fucking stupid. So as much as I'd want to come out here and challenge you to a match one-on-one, I'm not going to be that type of manager. Instead, at Wolfmania 4, you will have a match against a person of my choosing. And seeing how there's an entire angry roster that does not care for Mr. Davis, the only question is, who is going to be willing enough to kick Mr. Davis's ass or get kicked their ass on trying? That took us to the first match, which was actually a squash match. Tyler Bate, big strong boy out of England, taking on Grim Wolf, who was a former WW Wolfpack champion back in season 4. Now, this immediately turned into Grim Wolf's favor. However, Tyler Bate actually tried to fight back with a good old airplane spin. Just spin him around. Maybe if he gets dizzy enough, he'll actually forget that he is at... Maybe he'll actually forget that he is so screwed. Or he's going to fuck him up. The airplane spin didn't do shit. Grimwolf still nailed him with a Grimwalker super kick. Yet Tyler Bate kicked out. But it was just one more knee to the gut was all that was needed for Grimwolf to get a victory in a very squash-tastic way. And wait a minute. You mean there's another squash match? Yep, the second match, another squash match. Arya Davari taking on Infamous, who is still quite mad about the way he couldn't get his hands on Mageddon's title. So, Infamous just immediately took it to Davari, hit him with the quick draw pop-up powerbomb, and, well, to be honest, I guess you can say that's all she wrote for that one. The third match that happened was an actual match, thank God. Akira Tozawa taking on Jay Porter in an Extreme Rules match. And I'll say that the weapons were brought out pretty quickly. Here's your standard fare: chairs, tables, a ladder. Yeah, a whole ladder got involved. Where was I? Ladder. So, before I get to the ladder spot that pretty much ended the match, first, Jay Porter was able to hit a backbreaker over his knee, but somehow he caused Akira to bounce up in a way that Akira just went through a table. Don't ask me how that happened. I'm not exactly sure myself. But in the very end, Jay Porter managed to get a chair wrapped around Akira's neck and hit a corkscrew senton directly onto the chair, thereby being very close to snapping Tozawa's neck. Then Porter climbed up the ladder and just heat-seeking elbow drop across the back. Then he got up and an enziguri, and then he got up again and hit a portable bomb for the 1, 2, 3. Tozawa needs a lot of rest because he took one hell of a beating there. So the fourth match was labeled to be the match that would determine who would join Cyrus, Kyle Noble, and Eric Black in the match at Wolfmania for Cyrus's title between Sky Slash and Tim Case? But I thought he's on WDW. Meh. I guess this might just be it might as well have been an exhibition match then. And Just like what happened at the kickoff show of Instant Warfare, Sky and Tim were really working each other out. But in the end, Tim Case was still your winner, meaning he was the number one contender for that match. Just kidding! He's a member of the WDW roster, so we do not want to start another war between those brands with the title on the line again. So it remains a triple threat match. Now, the fifth match was a tag team match. Once again, we got Kyle Noble and one half of the LA Wolf Tag Champions, Vigilante number 1, taking on Sylvain Grenier and Rene Dupré, La Resistance. And it seemed at first that they were just going to do the inverse of last week, where they were going to kill Grenier and not have Dupré make a tag. Grenier was able to reverse. He made a tag to Dupré, but the beatdowns just continued. Although there was a pretty cool moment that seemed to gonna get it at first that we thought was a botch, but it was a plan all along, where Noble picked up Dupré, and then it looked like he and from behind number 1 were going to grab him at the same time. Alright, so number 1 did a bit of a backward small package roll to distract the referee and Dupré while Noble climbed up top. And then just to make sure the plan succeeded, number 1 acted like he was going to do a little flip senton fuck up, which to be honest he kind of did. And right when they were staring each other down, Noble leapt from behind and did a swinging DDT. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give him that one. That impressed me. And then the match ended with one more leg crusher to Dupré. And yeah, the Vigilantes so far cannot be beaten at all. Mageddon came out next to deliver his little state of the address regarding his WKW King of the Wolves title holder, and now he won that title match fair and square. Even though he probably killed Kino Kobashi, we might have seen a murder live. But then Happy Cole comes out and saying, you know what, Mageddon, you didn't actually beat me. You beat Kino, but you didn't beat me, so I'm not happy with how that match went. And you shouldn't be happy of how you kept your hold of that title. So let's make each other happy with one more singles match against each other for your title at Wolfmania. And to be honest, that is a match I'm really, really looking forward to. So WKW is going to end with Emcon taking on AJ King of the Mob. Like I said, this feud is not over. But it was a pretty quick match, I'm a little sad to admit. But there was a cool moment where Emcon was able to do a little plancha to the outside to AJ. He threw him back into the ring, went for his package pile driver, and AJ King was able to reverse it and hit a full-on Uranagi for the 1, 2, 3? Emcon was able to be beaten just like that? Wow. Oh, I don't know how this feud's going to play out. I mean, that was a pretty quick win for AJ. Oh, then again, we all know Diamond Knight is still on vacation. So let's see what happened over on the WDW side. And it appears that there wasn't a single promo for another week in a row. It's just all matches. Well, in any case, the first match was Billy Huggins taking on Psychosis of the Lucha Liberation. And, well, Psychosis certainly tried his best in this match, but I just don't think his best was enough. You see, Billy Huggins was able to do quite a few offensive maneuvers early on, and then just standing beat down, threw him back into the ring, locked in a hobo lock, even though Psychosis' foot hit the rope immediately, but then one hobo kick was all it took to spell defeat for Psychosis. And that is more momentum for Billy Huggins. The second match was the Street Profits, and Joe Dawkins and Montez Ford, taking on the Elites, Terry Terror and Jeff the Thong Statham. And, wow. I honestly thought that the Elites were going to do what the Vigilantes, when they team up on WKW, were doing, by just beating the Street Profits to a pulp and not letting the tag be made. And that almost happened, But then Dawkins hit his pop-up spinebuster finisher onto Jeff to temporarily stun him. Montez Ford got a bit of hype, but that was nowhere near enough, as Montez Ford got floored pretty quickly with a curb stomp, and then an elite executioner to Ford meant that the elites won again. Third match that happened was Gavin Watkins. Watkins was taking on Cameron Rose of the Mob. While Watkins was trying to make his entrance, Cameron Rose and Hayate made their appearances on the ramp, ambushed him with a hit from the back of the head, but Watkins would not go to the back of the shed because he would lay out Rose with a super kick and a German suplex right there on the ramp. But Rose made it to the ring, so the match actually happened, and it seemed like Rose had an answer for pretty much any finisher you can throw at him, especially the ching ching bling bling DDTs. Now, at one point, Watkins, granted, was able to hit the Golden Driver, but that was not nearly enough to put away Cameron. And right at the end, Watkins was looking for one more DDT. Cameron reversed, hits a Fisherman Northern Light suplex, and, well, I guess they have decided Watkins will be their new target now that essentially Isaac Mystery has been dealt with. The fourth match was Kai Cassidy, who is preparing for his match against Billy Huggins for the vacant WDW title, taking on Taven, who I will admit we have not really seen ever since the Royal Rumble pre-show. And these two cruiserweights were really battling it out. They were throwing reversals at each other like it was nothing, and Taven ate a stunner like it was nothing. Right at the very end, though, Cassidy was looking for a Blackheart splash. Taven got the knees up, and Taven dropped him with a double underhook pile driver, and Cassidy was not able to kick out of that, which means he might have lost a little momentum going into that match. We got 3 weeks away, buddy. The fifth match that happened, hold on, there's a dog trying to get into my office. I will play with it later, but I'm trying to do a recording. Was Momoa taking on Dylan Casey, who I think is starting to show he's not insane. But this ended very quickly because this was another fucking squash match. Yes! Wow, that's 3 in 1 week. What are the odds? Now, Momoa just quickly hit his little 2 shoulder tackles, hits a giant spear, and then drops him with that Tour of the Islands like splash for the victory. And I think Dylan Casey might went like this. You get the picture. The sixth match that happened was a non-title match between... Do I really have to say it? It's one more match between the Wild Soldiers and the Vigilantes, who, by the way, are your current LOA Wolf Tag Team Champions. Now, we thought this was going to be a quick one with a Billy Wild Chad and Vigilante number 1, but they were actually reversing pretty much everything the other guy threw at him. But Wild Chad was able to get an advantage early on, dropping number 1 with an apron DDT. And later Maximus followed suit, dropping number 2 with an apron DDT. And honestly, this match was actually starting to get good, with number 2 actually taking a good chunk of the beating. He even got up immediately after one powerful move, and then got kicked right back down to the ground. Maximus was not going to take any shit. Now, right at the end though, let us talk about the ending. So right there's a little powerbomb move. No, number 1 dropped Wildside with his little pump handle Falcon Arrow. Maximus countered by not only hitting number 1, but also dropping the ref. And then number 2 got dropped, but then number 1 circled around and dropped Maximus with a Meteora that took him out of the match. And then number 1 went up, moonsault as his partner was getting up, and then they hit the leg crusher on Wildside for the victory. And from what I'm hearing, This should be the last time that these guys face off. Now the final match that happened this week, another non-title match with The Voice, your current WDW Platinum Champion, having a rematch against TJ Salazar. And once again, Salazar appears to have been blessed by the Lucha Gods because just about every single kick that The Voice is throwing at him, every spin kick anyway, Salazar has been able to dodge. Although The Voice has been getting quicker with his reversals as well, because he was able to counter Salazar's counters. At one point dropped him really good with a big roundhouse kick that just made Salazar collapse. But that was not enough. What did Salazar in, however, was a couple of those backbreaker over the knees he calls the Fear the Fearless backbreakers. And that would be it for that match because The Voice does not have a challenger. He beat Salazar. Wow, that was a pretty good recap for what happened this week on the WKW network. Now, there was an episode of WKW today. Tomorrow, there will be a WDW episode, and then I'm going to have to go recap what happened that week. So, I see how Jacob Scott saying feel the fire, fear the cold, and most importantly, have a good day.